The theater, the magical place where stories come to life, where actors and actresses pour their hearts out into their roles, where heartfelt monologues are delivered, tears are shed, songs are belted, and thunderous applause bellows. From William Shakespeare and the Globe to Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber and the Royal Albert Hall, the theater has been a prominent place throughout history. The world is a stage, and the stage is a world of entertainment. And upon said stage, plays and musicals have been performed for all to see. The Phantom of the Opera, Wicked, Chicago, and yes, even Cats, are all famous shows among the greats. But today, we are covering a play that's famous for being infamous. You see, there is a show, a certain Scottish play, that is said to be cursed amongst the Thespians. I should know, I am one after all. It is said that whenever the name of this play is spoken aloud in a theater, death and disaster are sure to follow. Sometimes a light bursts or a fire mysteriously starts. Other times, actors have fallen off the stage, and stage weights would come crashing down from above, nearly missing the actors. And then, there were the deaths. One actor experienced heart failure while on stage. Another was stabbed when the prop daggers were somehow switched for actual daggers. It is said that Shakespeare used actual real-life witch spells when writing the script, and thus, the witches didn't like that and cursed the play. The name, the tragedy of Macbeth. See what I mean? I spoke the name and this happens. Gotta be careful about that. So I've been reading the comments of the last video and y'all are completely correct. I really dropped the ball on the last script. That is on me. This is a learning process though, and I'll work on doing better moving forward. I'm always happy to accept constructive criticism, you know? So, I'll hint toward the conclusion now. You see, there's a cartoon character that would fit perfectly in this certain cursed play. A character who nobody would have guessed. Basically, it's prophesized that the title character cannot be killed unless by something very specific. And surprisingly, there is a character that fits that criteria. But we should cover the play itself first for anyone who does not know about it. For all you seasoned thespians though, here are the timestamps for each part. Feel free to skip ahead. The timestamps are on the video itself too, so you can just click the link below the video if you so choose. Now, this theory is about a plot point within the show itself. For those who are unfamiliar with the play, here's how the story goes. The title character who shall not be named, and his friend, Banquo, encounter 3 witches after defeating 2 invading armies. The witches prophesize that he who shall not be named is destined to be Thane of Cawdor and later King of Scotland. They also prophesize that Banquo will not become king himself, but people in his lineage will. Now they're skeptical at first until he who shall not be named does indeed become Thane of Cawdor by King Duncan's men. So he visits King Duncan, and they both decide to dine at the home of he who shall not be named. He sends a letter to his wife, who is so on board with the prophecy that she actively encourages he who shall not be named to kill the king the night of the dinner. The two get the king's 2 chamberlains drunk, planning to blame the murder on them. Sure enough, he who shall not be named kills King Duncan and ascends to become King of Scotland. He later murders the chamberlains under the guise of blaming them for the king's murder. Becoming fearful of the prophecy about Banquo, he who shall not be named sends a group of murderers to kill his friend and his friend's son, to stop the lineage from happening. Banquo is slain, but his son escapes. Racked with guilt, he who shall not be named sees Banquo's ghost, and as a result visits the witches. And the witches provide him with 3 more prophecies. Number 1. Beware of Macduff, a Scottish nobleman who opposed his ascension to the throne. Number 2. He is incapable of being harmed by any man born of a woman. And number 3. He will remain unvanquished until Birnam Wood should come to Dunsinane, which is the hill that he who shall not be named's castle is located. He proceeds to do an incredibly based move here. My man's is playing 5D chess or something, because once he learns that Macduff fled to England to join Prince Malcolm, King Duncan's son, and raise an army to fight him, he orders that Macduff's wife and kids be executed. Not really sure what that accomplishes, but it's pretty based if you ask me. He who shall not be named's wife then becomes plagued with sleepwalking fits, and eventually she commits IRL game over. Sure enough, the army arrives at the hill, carrying shields made of Birnam wood, fulfilling half of the witch's prophecy. But he who shall not be named should still be invincible, right? Well, he is. Until he learns that Macduff, the man he is to beware, was untimely ripped from his mother's womb and is not of woman born. Basically, he is a C-section baby and not naturally birthed. Thus, Macduff slays he who shall not be named. Macduff declares Prince Malcolm the rightful king of Scotland and is shown standing triumphantly, his sword in one hand, and in the other, the severed head of Macbeth. Shoot, I said it again, didn't I? So, now you know the story. So it's time for the theory. There is another out there who can slay he who shall not be named. Another that he should fear. Let's go back to that prophecy. He is incapable of being harmed by any man born of a woman. Well, you see, we of the current pop culture scene know of one other who fits the criteria. So here is a totally plausible alternative way the ending of the play could have gone. Macbeth? King Macbeth! Of all men else I've avoided thee, but get thee back. My soul is too much charged with blood of thine already. Thou losest labor, as easy mayst thou the entrenchant air. Yet thy keen sword impress, as make me bleed. Yet fall thy blade on vulnerable crests. I bear a charmed life, which must not yield to one of woman born. Oh, that reminds me of an emotionally scarring backstory. It all began on the day of my actual birth. Both of my parents failed to show up. So you see, I'm not of woman born, I guess. Accursed be that tongue that tells me so, for it hath cowed my better part of man. And as for that man part, I'm not a man either. I was raised by ocelots. Literally disowned by my family and raised by Central American wildcats. So I'm legally an ocelot. I will not yield to kiss the ground before young Malcolm's feet and to be baited with the rabble's curse. Though Birnam Wood be come to Dunsinane and thou opposed, being of no woman born, yet I will try the last. Before my body I throw my warlike shield. Lay on, Macduff, and damned be him the first that cries, hold, enough. Man, you sure do talk a lot. Well, I'm actually looking for a platypus. I have this baby here for him. I call it the Overthrow the Kinginator. And when he shows up, I will fire. Ow, that's gonna leave a mark. That's right. Dr. Heinz Doofenshmirtz. Remember his emotionally scarring backstories? Neither of his parents showed up for his birth. Therefore, he could not have been born of a woman. Heinz Doofenshmirtz is not a man either. He was raised by ocelots. He is legally an ocelot. Therefore, Heinz Doofenshmirtz can kill Macbeth. But leave your thoughts and theories in the comments below, and don't forget